All right, hello everyone. Welcome to chapel. I'm going to start us off with a prayer, and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Scott. Let's pray. Father, Son, and Spirit, thanks so much for today and for Clay Millican being here. I pray that you would speak through him to us today, and would you please keep your hand on all these students and keep us all safe, and we love you and trust you to do that. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Okay, this is going to be a little bit different chapel than what you've been used to because the information that's going to be shared with you today is important to your life. 8th graders being gone to Washington leaves a little bit of gap, but it makes me think about that they're going to miss this, but I'm sure somebody in this group will share with them the importance of what's being told by this gentleman. Clay Millican, most of you know have heard of, because he's the 6-time national champion of the Dragster Association. He told me to say race car driver, but he's really a dragster. He lives in Drummond, Tennessee. He's been there most all of his life. His family's there too. His wife Donna's here with her today. But he's here to talk to you about a situation that is vital because all of you either are driving now or will be driving sometime in your life. So we're excited about Clay coming and speaking to you about an important event that's coming up. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to Clay and let him start talking to you.
Tonight, our Making a Difference report is about a man who makes his living in drag racing. A few seconds of fire and smoke and a harrowing quarter mile at a time. But when tragedy struck Doug Herbert's family on the road, he decided to turn that experience into something positive and developed a new passion for helping young drivers. NBC's Janet Shamlian has the story tonight from Bristol, Tennessee.
It's called situational awareness.
The last time Doug Herbert was at the Bristol Motor Speedway, he was on the track in a hot rod that can scream past 300 miles an hour.
Doug Herbert.
The professional drag racer has won 6 times here.
This, to me, it's a lot of therapy.
But on this day, he's after a different type of win just off track as teen drivers navigate a hazard-filled course.
We're just there to teach them how to be better drivers and maybe the consequences of making poor decisions.
Doug Herbert knows those decisions can end in tragedy because he's also a dad. And this horrific scene is where his sons were killed in a 2008 head-on collision. James was 12, John was 17, and police say driving recklessly.
They were my world, these guys. And, James was like they're both my best friends.
It was heartbreak that compelled him to step out of the driver's seat and put teens like these behind the wheel. With his own cash, the help of other pro drivers, and Kia-donated cars, Herbert started a free driving school called Brakes. Lessons on what to do in common road emergencies.
This is not a learn-to-drive school. Instructors are teaching teenagers how to react in situations like this that they will likely encounter.
Recovering from a skid or a tire off the side of the road, 10,000 students in 17 states have taken the course, often signed up by their parents.
I didn't want to do it. I don't need this. Now I'm really glad because I was dumbfounded with all of this.
That Michaela and the other teens here learned something means the world to Herbert.
If I did nothing, I was going to be guilty of a crime, and I wasn't going to do nothing. I was going to do something, and I was going to make sure that John and James were going to make a difference.
A dad who put the brakes on a fast-paced career to help save lives.
Turn right.
Janet Shamlian, NBC News, Bristol, Tennessee.
Excellent.
So the gentleman you see in that video there is a guy that I used to race against. And truth be told, it was a guy I did not like. I liked beating him. Me and him had some heck of a battles, and I know all of you are very internet savvy. Just put in Doug Herbert's name and my name, and you'll see a video. And we looked a little bit like a little WWE action going on the starting line at the racetrack one time. And I mean, me and him had just these fierce battles on the racetrack. And then he got a phone call. He was in Phoenix, Arizona testing. and he got the phone call that his sons were both killed in a car accident. And that kind of changed my attitude towards him. I have 2 sons, and I lost my son this past August. A lot of you probably knew Dalton, which was my youngest boy. He was a motocross world champion, and he went on to become the driver of the Blue Thunder monster truck. And just like Doug, I want to do something so that your parents do not get the same phone call, or in our case, knock on the door bright and early in the morning to tell you that we had lost a child. And all of you guys will be driving at some point. Driving is the #1 killer of teenagers. 90% of you will have an accident in your teenage years. I mean, 90%. May not be a bad accident, but the responsibilities of driving are so great that you really need to think about your actions, because your actions can affect those around you, your parents, your friends. And let me tell you, you don't want to have to call a friend and say someone very near and dear to you was killed in an accident. And coming up in August, we're having this very school will be at the Memphis International Raceway. And I greatly invite all of you to attend this school. There's 144 spots available, and that's all there is. And the first 144 that sign up for this school will be the ones that are admitted. This school is proven, and it's way more than just driver's education. Driver's education is very good, and it gives you the basics, but all of us, and I'm certainly at the top of that list, you know, we want to know what it's like to go fast and that sort of thing. That's what the racetrack's for. But you've got to be aware of everything that's going on and what you do, how it affects other people. There's so many things that can happen on the road that you just may not realize until it's too late. And that's what this school is to teach you about. I mean, we all hear about it all the time, texting and driving, all those sort of things that take your focus away. I mean, it can happen so quick that you think, oh, I've got this. Well, you don't. I'm a professional driver, and I've had accidents, and it's just part of it. But what I want you to do is to think about situational awareness is one of the words that you'll hear at this school, and I want to give y'all just a couple of little things to think about. Situational awareness while driving means don't just pay attention to what's going on in front of you. When you're driving, and actually in everything, you should not just pay attention to what's in front of you. You should be paying attention to everything, because it's not just the car in front of you or the person in front of you that can cause an accident. It's everything going on around you. So the more that you pay attention to what's going on when you're behind the wheel, or even with your parents. I mean, even if you're not old enough to drive, I know there's a lot of you in here not old enough to drive yet, but just pay attention. Don't be on that phone all the time. Just kind of look around. You could be coming up to a traffic light and it's green, but we don't know if the car coming the other way is paying attention. You could save a life just by situational awareness. Just pay attention to what's going on around you at all times. I mean, in the car, there's never a time to be texting, messing with the radio. If you're moving, you're in danger. Again, back to that 90%. 90% of you in here are going to have an accident, and we want to do all we can to avoid that. Someone sitting in here with you could be in an accident that they don't come back from. I mean, think about that. Think about the person sitting next to you. Most time, I know how it is when I was in school, because I used to wear poor old Mr. Scott out. He was my principal, and you know, I had buddies. Think about your buddy being gone, your friend being gone. It's not a good thing to think about. But The more you pay attention to what's going on when you're driving, the better your chances are of avoiding that, being that 10%, not the 90. We would love for all of you to come and learn some advanced techniques in driving. Panic stops. All of us have probably been in the car with our parents or yourself to where you have to stop right now. A dog ran in front of you. Somebody stopped directly in front of you. You're going to learn panic stops, what it feels like for ABS systems to work in these cars, automatic braking systems. And what that means is the cars will not slide the tires the way they did when I first started driving. And we're going to teach you that. We're going to teach you what it feels like if you drop the wheel off the edge of the road, because the majority of the times what happens, if you drop the tire off the edge of the road, the car's immediately going to want to go this way, and you're going to crank the wheel to get back on the road, and then what happens, you immediately go to the other side of the road or into oncoming traffic. Another thing that you're going to learn is just how to recover when something like that happens. I mean, these are things that you really don't need to learn while driving on a public road. And these are situations that sooner or later some of you will be in. And we just want to do all we can to help you have an idea of what happens when you're in this situation. Again, the school is going to be, it's a free school. You have to pay $99 to reserve your spot. If you send a check in, you'll get the check back when you show up for the class, August 27th and 28th at Memphis International Raceway. We've got information here for all of you. And I very, very much encourage you to attend the school. I mean, I'm here today because I do not want anybody here to have to deal with what Doug Herbert has dealt with, what me and my wife have dealt with. I mean, I don't care how good a driver you think you are. I've won 6 world championships, and every day I try to make sure that I'm paying attention to what I'm doing when I'm driving on the street, because it's way more dangerous than what I do driving on the racetrack. And Mr. Scott, I can keep going. Keep going? Well, I can certainly do that. I mean, I have spent a lot of time traveling. I've got to do a lot of really cool things racing cars, and I have seen some crazy accidents on the racetrack. I mean, I've got one highlight reel that you could probably look up as well on YouTube. Racing semifinals, I'm leading the points. And how many of you have done wheelies on a bicycle before? Like all of us, I see a lot of hands out there. Well, I used to do wheelies on the bicycle all the time. Well, the car I drive is a 30-foot long. It was like the same car Doug Herbert was driving in the video there. Semifinals, I'm racing. Guy in second place in points is beside me. Car gets up a little, front end's getting light, and I literally drove the car in a wheelie until it flipped over backwards. And where I'm headed with all that, I flipped over, slid through the finish line at over 200 miles an hour, 2,000 feet upside down and backwards. Unhurt, not a bruise. Reason is seat belts. That's kind of where I was headed with that. All of you wear your seat belts. I know a lot of the new cars, they'll beep and carry on if you don't put your seat belts on. So I wanted to tell you about being unhurt in a 200-mile-an-hour crash, but I want to tell you about a crash I had in Drummond's when I was probably 16 or 17 years old, driving too fast, no seat belt on. I had a Ford Mustang, and I thought it was really fast, but it really wasn't. So I'm going from my house to my parents' grocery store in Drummond's. It's a 1-mile trip I had probably made thousands of times in my life. Coming around a corner, I'm hunting my sunglasses, looking around for my sunglasses, dropped a wheel off the edge of the road. Wheel drop off like I was just telling you. So the car starts skidding. I overcorrected, back to the other side of the road, back and forth, no seatbelt on. And the next thing I know, I kept my eyes open. I figure if I'm taking this ride, I might as well see what happens, right? So I look, there's a tree coming. I hit the tree, and I'm in pretty good shape. I'm holding the steering wheel as hard as I possibly can, and I watch myself from the driver's seat go to the passenger seat and bust the windshield. From that point forward, seat belts. I mean, no matter how strong you think you are, if you have an accident, you're not going to be able to keep your body in spot. So, I mean, that little story basically is was what convinced me that we always should have seat belts on. So I always wear them, especially in the race car. Like I say, I've had one big highlight reel where they were definitely necessary. But, you know, another thing that I want to tell you that the school does is just gives you an idea of what happens if the road's wet. We don't get a lot of snow and ice here, but if we do, you know, that gives you an idea of what happens when the car starts sliding. Does anybody know what you should do if the car starts sliding? Anybody? I'm not seeing a whole lot of hands. What's the car do when it starts sliding? What should you do when the car starts sliding? There you go. That's exactly right. So if the car starts sliding and you're going this way, you turn right into the slide. And here is an easy way to know what to do when that happens. Look where you want to go. Your hands will take you to where you want to go. And that really covers a lot of things in life. Your hands will take you where you want to go. But if a car starts sliding and you're going out of control and the road's over here, you just need to look at the road. And you will correct the car and go the direction you need to go. And there are times where you will need to actually give it throttle, and there are times when you need to give it brake. But always in everything, look where you want to go. I mean, because that's what gets you where you need to be. And same thing with skidding a car. And that's one of the things that we'll teach you is slalom course, sliding. It's actually a fun school. And it's not to make you a race car driver. It's just to make you a better driver. Has anybody got any questions about anything? It doesn't have to be about the brake school. I don't even think we really explained the reason it's called brakes. So when Doug Herbert lost his children, his sons, John and James, had a lot of friends that came over, and they came up with brakes, which stands for Be Responsible and Keep Everyone Safe, which is a pretty cool thing to name the school, and that's where the name brakes come from. But I really, really appreciate everybody letting me come here today, and I know one thing, y'all have got an awesome school. It's the first time I came by, first time I'd been in, I came and saw Mr. Scott, and I really, really want to thank you guys so much. Thank you just so much for letting me come and talk. Again, there's information on the school here, and if y'all have any questions, I'll be here. Thank you guys very, very much.
Thanks, Blake. A couple of things. One thing that you need to remember is, you know, we're in May. You're fixing to go through a whole summer, and then this driving school is in August, the end of August. When we start back to school next year, we will remind you about it again. Remember, there are only 144 slots, and you can register online, is that right? And you pay your $99, but you get that in return. The only reason you're paying the $99 is to reserve your spot. So don't say, I'm going to sign up and pay the $99 and then don't show up, because you won't get your money back. But we felt like it was very important to share with you. Now, I know some of you guys, seniors, you're going to be off somewhere else, but you can still register for this. Preferably, we'd like for you, anybody that can get into the school, to get into the school, and be sure to pick up one of these brochures when you leave out on the table, on the stage up here. Any questions from anybody? Ages or age group? Okay. You have to have a driver's permit or your license. 15 to 19. I don't think we have any 14-year-olds driving legally in here. We got several that are probably driving illegally. Where's Grayson Crum? Grayson, you need to be in this school, buddy. This would be a good thing for you, because that truck you're driving is a nice truck. There won't be any donuts to eat. Is that what he said? What did he say? I'm sorry, you were talking about turning donuts, weren't you? I got you. Okay. All right, that's enough. Again, we can't tell you how important this is for you to know. We can tell you it's very important for you to be aware of the fact that it's dangerous when you're driving a car or a truck or a motorcycle or anything with a motor on it. I'm sure all of you have had accidents before. Mr. Cole has told you stories about when he and his brother had accidents on bikes and four-wheelers, scooters and stuff like that. That's not anything like an accident that you'll have in an automobile with a powerful engine behind it, taking you and hitting something that is immovable or that's going just as fast as you are. I've had good friends that I've lost because they were not responsible when they were driving. I've lost two. And I think about them often, and most of the time, I think about, I wished I'd have said, you need to slow down, or you need to quit driving like that. And Clay said that to you earlier. Don't have to be the one to say something to one of your friends or to somebody else that you lost a good friend. I appreciate your time, Mr. Hooker. We got any announcements? We're going to second period class. Thank you. Don't forget to pick up a brochure, and you can speak to Clay on the way out. Thank you.